Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all you passionate photographers out there logging in from different parts of the country. A very warm good morning to you all. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, and I'm glad that you have decided to attend today's photography masterclass. That shows your passion, right? You could have decided to sleep your way till afternoon, being a Sunday, okay? But then you made it a point to be here on time, and I'm sure you're going to be rewarded, because now the onus is on me to give you your time's worth, right? Hello. I hope you are all aware about the agenda for today's masterclass. Right. But before that, let me just have a quick round of introduction from you. Just your location, just type in your location. I can see your names. Just type your locations and we will get started, okay? It's going to be full of content, no wastage of time. We'll be sticking to our schedule, which is 90 minutes. So let's quickly get with your introduction done, and then we will start, okay? Great. Now that I know a lot about you, let me get started and let me flash the presentation. Right, here we are. Full screen. But then before that, let's check out if things are working. Great. Right. Once again, for all the latecomers, welcome to this photography masterclass called Learn Cameras Manual Mode in 60 minutes flat or your money back. Okay. Anyway, it's a free webinar, so no question of money back, but then let me make it a point that I'm going to give your time's worth. You have decided to log into this webinar on time and spend the next 90 minutes, and it is my responsibility to give you the worth of your time, right? Great. Everybody is a photographer till it comes to manual mode, right? How many of you agree with this statement? How many of you agree with this statement? Right. Okay. So that's what we are here for. One of the major pain points for any beginner photographer, understanding the manual mode, the science behind it, how to set your camera in manual mode. I am going to decipher the science behind it so that after the webinar, after the next 90 minutes, you are going to be expert in setting your camera in manual mode and start clicking amazing pictures. Are you all ready? Are you all excited? Let us be very clear on the agenda, nothing more, nothing less. Right? Simple, plain agenda, up to the point. Why manual mode is important? I am going to tell you 3 secrets to mastering the manual mode. Photography is not only science but also an art, right? And then most importantly, for all those people who decide to stay till the end, listen to the masterclass, benefit from its rich content, I am going to offer you, in fact, I am going to give you photography cheat sheets, okay, where complex topics of photography are taught to you in a simple, easy to understand way with a lot of graphics, pictures, illustrations, less of text. Can you see this? I am going to share the link towards the end of the session so that you can directly download and start using it. Okay? I'm not going to share it anywhere, not in the group, not in WhatsApp. It's going to be shared only in this webinar in the chat towards the end of the program. So stick around till the end so that you can lay your hands on the photography cheat sheets. And of course, I'm going to present to you an opportunity to join one of my premium paid classes where you can learn photography in a structured way from yours truly. Okay. All this is going to happen towards the end. We are going to stick to the agenda all this while. Great. Moving on. So who is this webinar for? This webinar is for people who are passionate about photography and want to learn the art and science of it. Okay. It is for people who are working professionals who want to develop a creative hobby so that they get some time out from their busy schedules and a hectic work life and have something to look forward to during the weekends. It is for students like you it is for home workers like you who want to develop photography not only as a creative hobby but then take it forward as a rewarding profession as well. It is for people who want to simply get out of the camera's auto mode and make optimum use of their DSLRs or the mirrorless cameras that they have purchased with so much of enthusiasm, right? But then eventually they are still stuck with the camera's auto mode, not knowing how to move on to the next step, which is manual mode. Great. Many of you might be wondering, who is this gentleman who has invited us to this photography masterclass? And why should we spend our Sunday morning listening to him? Okay. Right, for all those apprehensive people and for those people who are really interested to know who I am, here's a brief introduction of yours truly. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Amol Patil and I'm the founder of Masterpix, which is a leading photography agency operating out of Mumbai. I am also the author of The Ultimate Guide to Photography Fundamentals. Okay, the collection. Photography cheat sheets, right, where complex topics of photography are explained to my students with a lot of pictures, diagrams, illustrations, less of text. As they say, pictures talks 1,000 words, right? So I'm the author of this particular book. So if I'm not shooting for my clients, then I'm writing. If I'm not shooting, if I am not writing, then I am definitely engaging with enthusiastic students like you, teaching them the art and science of photography. In the past 10 years, I have taught more than 10,000 people in the art and science of photography through different mediums. Okay, like the online medium like we have engaged today, or the workshops that I conduct at my studio in Mumbai, or for that matter, the destination workshops that I conduct all across India, right? Great. So that's all about yours truly, Amol Patil, in a nutshell. All those people who decide to stick around, follow me on my social media handles. You will get to learn more about me as I keep on interacting with all my followers, and of course on topic of interest, which is photography. Right? Great. Before we start with the core topic, let me share with you my story, which is an interesting one. Okay? I hope you find it interesting. Like many of you present here, till some time back, I was also the part of the corporate world. Okay, I spent a good amount of time, 25 years to be precise, working with different multinational companies, right? By the way, I am an engineer by education, an MBA by education, but a photographer at heart. Okay, so my education took me with the best of best companies in the country. I worked with the Tata Group, I worked with Reliance Industries, and this is my office where my last stint was, Reliance Corporate Park in Navi Mumbai, for all those people from this part of the country. You might be knowing, a swanky office where 35,000 people work in a single campus. So I was like a drop in the ocean, right? Great. You know how corporate life is, right? Even though we call it a 9 to 5 job, it's never 9 to 5, particularly after the COVID, where the HR of our company found out that no matter where you are still indispensable, right? So even after your office hours, your boss asks you to log in from your computer and attend meetings. The rat race is on continuously, right? So much of competition. But then you have to make the choice, right? You be part of the rat race, you excel in the work given, you prove your worth, and you move on. Nothing wrong with it, right? But then I decided it otherwise after 25 long years. I said I have worked for different companies, given a good amount of my prime time, 25 years to be precise, to these companies. The next few years, whatever it is, okay, 10, 15, 20, I want to spend it for myself. Okay? मेहनत तो दोनों जगह करनी है, सेठ के लिए मेहनत करने से अच्छा अपने लिए करो. Okay? So that is how I got into photography full time, and after COVID, I am a full time photographer. But then let me tell you, interestingly, how I got into photography. Right? So as I said, swanky office, not a 9 to 5 job, a lot of office politics, a lot of office pressure, but then I was handling it as a professional, right? Spent some good amount of time, made a lot of friends, and then I used to be particularly interested in this group of people who are always discussing on photography, right? During the lunch breaks, during the tea breaks, always in a corner they used to sit together and discuss things, and that got me interested. Okay, I thought let me see what these people are discussing. And then one day I decided to ask one of the friends who was part of that group as to what exactly they do there, right? So this is like the picture shows. And then he obliged, he said he is part of a photography group, the internal photography club, a lot of members out there, and we discuss photography. Okay, we go out for photo walks, we click different pictures, we share pictures and stuff. And I said, wow, our company has its own internal photography club and I am not aware. Tell me more, tell me more. In fact, I asked him to show me some of his pictures, right? Because now I was really excited, really kicked up, right? So please show me your picture. So I bent over his shoulder into his computer, and this is the picture that he showed me, the first picture that he showed me. I had a hard look at it, and I was wondering, what's so special about this picture? At that point in time, I didn't understand freeze the action, high shutter speed, depth of field and things like that. But then just looking at the picture, I kept wondering what is so special that a photographer friend of mine is showing this as his first picture. Okay. I thought it to be really a mediocre one. In fact, I thought I could click pictures better than this. But then I didn't say it to him as clearly as I'm mentioning it to you, right? But then this was my thought process. I started thinking about it, okay? That was the trigger. If he as a learned photographer, doing photography for so many years, if he is clicking these kind of pictures and is really proud of, I can definitely do better than it. And then I said, let me also start clicking some pictures. The next step was, I didn't have a camera. I didn't have a normal DSLR or a prosumer camera. I had that small point and shoot which we had, which everybody had at some point or the other, right? Isn't it? And I'm talking 10 years back. Then I remembered one of my very good friends. He had a camera. He was always boasting about it, that he had got a Canon SX50, some model. I went through the Google, the specifications, and I said, okay, it seems to be a good camera. Let me borrow it from my friend. And I was pretty sure he's my best friend, my chuddy buddy kind of a friend, and I can always ask favors from him, right? I particularly asked this camera from him so that I could try my hands, click some good pictures and stuff like that. And guys, to my surprise, he denied the favor, right? You know what he said? He said his wife is not permitting him to lend the camera, the costly camera, as his wife said. Oh my God, I was really heartbroken. I mean, I was banking on this buddy of mine to just lend me his camera for a few days. And here he was telling that he couldn't do that because his wife is not permitting him to give it to me. This was the second jolt that I got. The first one was after looking at a picture, my office colleague showed me, and this is my buddy outside office, okay, my college buddy, not extending the favor to me. But then I was not to be disappointed. I took it as a challenge, okay, I took it as a challenge, and then what I did was, I just went ahead with the pocket camera that I had at home. Okay, I took my family. It was December at that point in time. We were on a yearly vacation with my family to a beach destination, and I decided to carry it along with me with the intention of clicking some good pictures, some thoughtful pictures. So what I did first was went through the manual. Okay, so this is the first step any photographer does, goes through the manual, try to get some insight into the camera, how it functions and stuff like that. And these are the pictures that I clicked, giving a thought behind the pictures. Okay, the multi-burst, capturing the action, right? Can you see this in the left and top corner? Trying to create an illusion here with my daughter and with the shoes in the foreground. All these are with my pocket camera, a Sony, it was a 5X, I don't remember the model, but the DSC, something like that. Again, the typical every beginner photographer's pet shots, right? Sun on the palm, frame in a frame. Can you see this? And I mean, now I know that it's a frame in a frame, but then, as I said, some thought process had gone into it, and these are the pictures that I clicked. I mean, after all these years, they seem very amateurish, but then at that point in time, I was really excited. I posted them in Facebook, and all my friends started praising it. Oh, wow, nice pictures, good, great. And then I got that motivation that yes, I am looking for something more in photography. And then I started learning on my own, taking help of the YouTube videos, taking help, grabbing hold of mentors from whom I learned a lot, being in a company of photographers from whom I learned a lot, right? And then slowly and steadily, while I was working, still working with Reliance, I started pursuing photography seriously, right? And some 8-10 years I was parallel working. Photography was more of a passion, but then eventually I started getting paid by my friends, my family. People started inquiring about photography from me, and then I started providing services parallelly. Okay, I was not in a position to quit my job, but then came a point after COVID 2020, after working from home for 2 years, I didn't have the courage, energy, basically the passion to go back to the corporate life, because as I said, 25 years for the industry, next 15 years for your passion, right? I mean, people plan their retirement, okay, that they will be getting into things that they love after their retirement, okay, but then are you in a position to actively pursue your passion? No. I'm still 48, okay, a lot of energy in me. I can still pursue my passion, photography, very actively. So that was the thought process, and I put in my papers and started Masterpix. Masterpix was anyway there, but then I pursued it full time. And here I am, capturing memories for all my clients, whether it is weddings, right? I have my own studio where I conduct studio portrait sessions for my clients, whether it is maternity, whether it is children, whether it is fashion, tabletop photography, right? Wildlife, birding, okay? Chasing birds, capturing them, mammals, lions, tigers, okay? So, you know, I mean, I'm a commercial photographer because that helps me foot my bills, but then I'm a passionate wildlife photographer. It has taken me to the different parts of the country, different parts of the world. In fact, I've been to Masai Mara, Tadoba, Pench, Ranthambore for the lions, okay, Satal, Nainital, Pangot for the birds, Masai Mara, Kenya for the big five. Right? How many of you resonate with my story? In the chat box, please. How many of you resonate? How many of you feel that you are also looking out for some creative passion, hobby? Okay, you tried your hands at different things, whether it is long distance running, jogging, cycling, trekking, photography, of course, for some of you, right? Great. Right? So now that you know a little bit about myself, my journey, time to get back to the agenda, right? Which is learn photography, learn cameras manual mode in the next 60 minutes now. Already half an hour is well spent. And here we go. Oh. I'm also a photography educator, right? So these pictures are with my students, distributing certificates, clicking pictures, going on a photo walks and things like that. Right. It took me 10 long years to reach to my destination on my own, okay? Learning from the YouTube videos, gathering information from my photographer friends, from the mentors, classes, right? And during the initial first 5 years, I never used manual mode like many of you present here, I'm sure. Right. So, the idea of me teaching photography to students, engaging in workshops, online, offline, or for that matter inviting you for this is, if I spent 10 years learning photography, why should you again spend 10 years learning the same stuff? Why do we reinvent the whole wheel when I can, with my experience, help you reduce your learning curve? Right. So, as promised, okay, tell me in the next 60 minutes, if I don't teach you the nuances of manual mode, you tell me in the chat, you tell me in the Q&A that you have failed miserably in your objective, and I will bow down to your feedback and I will be really humbled, right? Chalo, let's move on. Right, stick till the end, because I am going to give you the photography cheat sheets absolutely free of cost, right? Only requirement is you should attend the entire webinar and wait for the download link to be shared, because nowhere else it would be available. Only towards the end of the program it will be shared with you. Right, for all those serious photographers in the group who want to take the next step, complete photography mentoring program, I will be telling you more about it towards the end, so that you can take an educated decision and decide to join this program. More of it towards the end. Let's stick on to the agenda for today's webinar, which is manual mode in the next 60 minutes. And to know the manual mode, you should be clear about what is exposure triangle. Every serious photographer should know about it. Shutter, aperture and ISO, these are the three sides of the exposure triangle, right? And these three parameters must balance each other to give you the correct exposure. Okay, what is exposure? What you see with your eyes, if your camera captures the same, it is called correct exposure, right? Photography is all about light. It is painting with light, playing with light, writing with light. Anything to do with light is photography, right? And that's precisely what I'm going to discuss in the next 1 hour. And I'm going to build your foundation with the exposure triangle. More about it as we progress. A lot of details are given here, but then I'm going to take each parameter individually and explain in great details. Fine. Let's start with the first parameter, which is aperture, right? Bigger the just pay attention to this illustration here. As you increase the aperture from left to right, okay, the brightness of the picture increases because you are allowing more light to enter your camera. But then at the same time, you get a shallow depth of field. What do you mean by shallow depth of field? Soft, creamy, out of focus background, okay? Bokeh, as it is called in photography language. On the other hand, if you decrease the aperture diameter from right to left, what happens? The picture becomes dark, right? And you get a high depth of field. What do you mean by high depth of field? Everything from the foreground, midground to the background, everything is sharp in focus, crisp and clear. No background blur. It's called high depth of field. Clear? So, this is what aperture does. Look at this picture. What is the first thing that grabs your eyesight when you look at this picture? apart from the beautiful couple, of course, right? As many of you are saying, the background lights. The lights have turned into beautiful diamond shapes, right? Soft, creamy, out of focus, beautiful bokeh, right? Which helps isolate the subject from the background. Listen carefully. It helps isolate the subject from the background. That's the primary objective of having a shallow depth of field. Right? Look at the f number, f2.8. Smaller the f number, bigger the aperture diameter. Bigger the aperture diameter, shallow is the depth of field. And of course, you get more light. Right? So, this is what you get when you shoot a picture with a big aperture. Right? Always focus on the eyes of the subject, whether it is a human being, an animal, a bird. Always try and put the focus square on the eyes. That's the most important thing. Fine? Great. Moving on. Look at this picture. What is the difference between the previous picture and this picture? Right? What is the difference between the previous picture and this picture? Okay, let me make it big so that. Can you see this? What is the difference? This picture, there is no background blur. Everything from the foreground, midground to the background, everything is sharp, in focus, crystal clear. You can see the white horse very clearly, the brown horse, the two boys playing in the background very clear, the trees are very sharp. Even the clouds way up in the sky, blue sky, is in focus and sharp. Why? Because the photographer, which is yours truly, Amol Patil, decided to capture with a high depth of field. Right? Because this is what a landscape warrants, a high depth of field. A landscape with just a narrow portion of your picture which is sharp in focus and everything behind out of focus will not look good. Hence the number f16. Bigger the f number, smaller is the aperture diameter. Smaller the aperture diameter, higher is the depth of field. Right? Great. Fine. What's photography without live streaming or live shoot, isn't it? How many of you would like to see what aperture does to the depth of field in live mode? Type demo in the chat box. Please type demo in the chat box, because I am going to show you live shoot, right? Great. Just confirm it to me. What do you see? Okay, let me put on my camera, and here we are. I have connected my camera through an app, and I am going to go in the live mode now. Right. Okay, let's get going. Right. So as I said, I have connected my camera through an app which helps live stream. See, everything is live now. I am putting my hand, you can see it on screen. And then without even touching the camera, I would be able to change the exposure triangle parameters, which are shutter, aperture and ISO, and I can show you the different things which the camera does with different settings. Right? Are you excited? Are you excited for the demo? Let's get started. right? You see our model here. Her name is Natalia, by the way. Okay, so Natalia will be helping us out with all the presentations, demonstrations rather. Great. So behind our model Natalia are these flowers. Okay, the sunflowers are behind her. I hope you are able to get the perspective. And I am going to click a picture and see how the sunflowers are in shallow depth of field or high depth of field depending on the aperture size. Okay. So let's start with bigger f number, f18. Bigger the aperture, sorry, bigger the f number, smaller is the aperture, shallow is the depth of field. Fine? Great. Right. Focus on the eyes. Okay, I am clicking the picture at f18, just pay attention here. Okay, can you see? Our subject Natalia and the flowers both are sharp and in focus. Okay, let me save it in the background. Let me save this picture in the background so that we can compare it later. Fine. Now what I will do, instead of f18, I will click at a small f number. Shall we do that? Fine. Okay, from f18 let me select f2.8. What do you see? Do you see the difference? When I was at f18, what I got was high depth of field. The background flowers and the subject both are in focus and sharp. When I am at f2.8, I get a shallow depth of field, isn't it? Great. Let me click a picture, but then before that, let me balance the light meter. Okay, out of focus and capture. So I captured two pictures, and what I am going to do? I am going to show it to you side by side. Just hold on. Okay, right, here we are. Do you see this? High depth of field and shallow depth of field. Okay. Right. Can you see the difference? High depth and shallow depth. At f18, everything is in focus. At f2.8, only the subject is in focus, whereas background is blur. Fine. So this is what aperture does to your picture. It controls the depth of field along with the light. Okay. Great. Chalo, back to the presentation. Let's move on. Shutter speed. It is the length of time during which the camera shutter remains open, okay, to give you the exposure. Fine. Just have a look at this illustration. As you increase the shutter speed from right to left, by the way, shutter speed is measured in seconds. So as you increase the shutter speed from 1 second to 1/30th of a second, 1/500, 1/2000 of a second, shutter speed is increasing. What happens to the picture? You get the freeze the action. What is freeze the action? Any motion happening in front of the camera is frozen. Okay, that is called freeze the action. Any moving elements, any moving subject is frozen. On the other hand, if you decrease the shutter speed from left to right, what happens? You get motion blur. Can you see this? This is freeze the action, this is motion blur. Can you see the trails? Freeze the action, motion blur. So this is what the camera does. You get a motion blur. That is the reason why every photographer says, don't move, I am going to click a picture, isn't it? Don't move. It comes automatically, instinctively, because somewhere at the back of your mind you always know that any movement is bad for the photograph, you will get a blurry image. Clear? This is what shutter speed does. It controls light and at the same time it controls action. Look at this picture. By the way, which bird is this? Can anybody tell me? In the chat box. Any birders, wildlife photographers? Come on. It's the green beat. Fine? Great. Freeze the action is the title. Right? Even though the bird is flying, there is no motion blur. It is sharp, isn't it? Why? Because the shutter speed is 1/1000, which is a fast shutter speed. Isn't it? So this is what high shutter speed does to the picture. It freezes the action. Right? Can you see how the background has also become blur? Right? So that's because the aperture is also big at that point in time, and therefore you are getting a shallow depth of field as well. So you see, you got both, best of both. You got shallow depth of field because of a big aperture, but then since we are discussing shutter, we are only restricting it to high shutter speed. Right? But then towards the end you will see why shutter, aperture and ISO is not to be looked in isolation. They are combined entity. Okay? Great. So this is what high shutter speed does to your picture. Now do you see why this bird is towards the left hand side of the frame and not in the center? That's because yours truly, the photographer, wanted to meet the rule of third. Right? What is rule of third? Imagine your frame to be divided into two vertical and two horizontal lines like this, 1, 2, 3 and 4. How many points of intersection in the chat box, please? Let it be very interactive, boys and girls. 4, right? These are called power points. So as a photographer, you should make it a point that your subject should be lying on either of the 4 power points. किसी भी एक power point पे आपका subject होना ज़रूरी है. Why? Because then your picture becomes compelling compared to the subject being in the center. Okay? So that is science. Science has proven that for people who are looking at picture, if the subject happens to be on the PowerPoint, they like it better than the one at the center. Fine? Photography is not only science but also an art. So you see, while I am reviewing my own pictures, I am also trying to tell you not only the technical aspect of it, but then the artistic one also. What is the difference between the previous picture and this one? Right? The previous picture was clicked at 1,000 of a second, whereas this one is at 15 seconds. It's a slow shutter photography. And what has happened to the picture because of the slow shutter? Can you see the water? How still and calm it is looking? How silky it is looking, right? That's because of the 15-second slow shutter photography. Right? For these kind of effects, you deploy slow shutter speeds. How many of you have been wondering how those light streaks of the vehicles moving on the road are captured? Right? Or that milky waterfall that you see on your calendar, right? And you've been wondering all these days that how it is captured. It is precisely with the use of slow shutter. After the session, you will be competent enough to Go ahead and try your hands at slow shutter photography, whether it is light trails, a milky waterfall, or this picture where the sea water is like absolutely turned into clouds. Okay, any slower shutter speed than this, 30 seconds, I think it would have turned into clouds, vapor, right? Okay. Right. What else? Yes. Yeah. Talking about the artistic aspect, see, only a technically perfect picture is not a compelling picture. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Only if the exposure is proper doesn't make a picture good. Okay? It has to have some elements which would compel you to have a second look at the picture. And for this particular picture, it's the leading lines that is working in its favor. What are leading lines? Can you see this bridge moving from the right hand side top corner all the way to the left hand side? Right? It's making your audience look at the entire picture from left to right, top to bottom. Right? So your eyesight moves from here, follows the bridge, goes here towards the center, and you have this point of interest. Okay, the ropes which is holding the bridge. Okay, so that's the speciality of this particular bridge. It's the Bandra Worli Sea Link in Mumbai. Right, and then towards the Worli side. Fine? Great. Shall we move on? Which is the third parameter? Oh, no. You cannot move on, right? Why? Because I have to show you how shutter speed impacts your picture. Type demo in your chat box. In the meanwhile, I will make arrangements for you, for me to demonstrate live shoot. Okay, chat demo, so that I am inspired to show you demo. Okay. Back to the table. Yes. Okay, so a lot of demos in the chat, so that makes I will have to show you demo now. So what I will do, I will get back into the live mode. Are you ready? Let's get into the live mode. And this time, let's look out for some action. Okay, let's look out for some action. Where is action? Where is action happening? Is it happening at the top? Yes. Okay. Right. So a moving fan. So what I will do, I will click two pictures, one at slow shutter speed and one at fast shutter speed, and we'll see how it works. Right. So shutter speed, what is slow shutter speed? Anything less than 1/30th of a second is slow shutter speed. So let me get it 1/30th of a second. Right. Okay. Before I click, let me adjust the light meter. Don't worry, I am going to tell you towards the end what the light meter does. Okay, almost there. Right, great. Autofocus, I'm holding it in my hand, the camera, it's a little shaky, but then, and preview. Okay, so what has happened? Let's save it in the background. Where are the blades? How many blades does the fan have? Can anybody tell me? Because they have all disappeared, isn't it? Right, that's because of the slow shutter speed, 1/30th, isn't it? So now what I will do, I will click another picture which will have high shutter speed, and we'll see the difference. So what is high shutter speed? 1/800 should be good enough. Okay, before I go ahead, let me adjust the light meter, bring it to 0. Right, almost there, out of focus. And at 1/800th of a second, let me click a picture. Focus again. Now tell me how many blades are there. Now you tell me how many blades are there. 3 blades. Why? Because at 1/800th of a second, it froze the action. The camera froze the action, right? Let's check it out side by side. Look at this picture. Okay, 1/30th of a second, there is a motion blur. Okay, and then 1/800th of a second, you got freeze the action. Can you see this? Can you see the difference? Right. So this is what shutter speed does to your picture. Fair enough? Back to the presentation. Good to go? Great. Moving on to the third parameter, can anybody tell me which one is missing? Which one is left out? It's called ISO. International Organization for Standardization is the full form, and it is the camera's, the sensitivity of the camera sensor to light. Okay. Just pay attention to the illustration here. As you increase the shutter speed, as you increase the ISO from 100 to 200, 400, 1000, 1600, what is happening? The brightness of the picture is increasing. Okay. As you, but then at the same time you are getting noise. The grains that you see, the dots that you see, that is decreasing the quality of the picture. Fine, it is decreasing the quality of the picture. The dynamic range of the picture is decreasing. Right. So this is what ISO does. It is, what do you say? I always call ISO as the necessary evil. You will have to increase ISO because ambient light may be less, but then you cannot increase it to such an extent that it becomes grainy and noisy. Fine. How many of you want to see grains in your picture? Type demo, right? Because this is what I am going to show. The left hand side is a clean image because the ISO is 100, and then you have a noisy image which are these dots and grains at 6400, right? And this is what you ISO does to your picture. Want to see ISO in live mode? Let's go into the live mode. Fine. Once again, our model Natalia will help us out. Great. First, I will click a picture at low ISO. Let me make it a low ISO. Let me select 100, 160. Okay. I have selected 160, which is a low ISO. But before I click, what I will do, I will make a few adjustments so that the exposure is proper. Autofocus and capture. Let's directly capture it in the background, we'll compare it later. Okay. So, we have clicked 160 ISO picture, and now I am going to increase the ISO to 1000, 2000, 5000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. Okay, 50,000 H2. I have increased it to 50,000. Okay. Before I click, adjustments needed, because light meter is showing positive, meaning it will be overexposed. Don't worry, I am going to tell you what the light meter is there for: focus and capture. So, we have captured two images, one at 160 or 100, which is a low ISO, and another one at 50,000 plus. Let us check that out. Okay. Okay, right. Let us check them out. This is the first picture at 100 ISO. Let me zoom in. Can you see? No problem at all. The skin looks flawless, the background perfect, no problem. Fine. Now, let us move to the 50,000 ISO. Do you see the problem? You won't see it from this distance. Let me zoom in. Can you see the grains, particularly in the shadow area, the dots, right? The hair, look at the background. Compare this with the previous picture. Right. This is the previous, this is the previous picture, right? Zoom. Great. So, this is what ISO does to your picture. It increases the grains. Right. Back to the presentation. And this is what is called as exposure triangle: shutter, aperture and ISO. Okay. So, just to recap before we move ahead: bigger the aperture, more is the light, shallow is the depth of field; smaller the aperture, less is the light, high is the depth of field. Right. Shutter speed: slower the shutter speed, brighter is the picture, but then you get motion blur. Faster the shutter speed, darker is the picture, but then you get freeze the action. Bigger the ISO, more is the brightness, but then you start getting grains. Less the ISO, sensitivity is less, darker is the picture, but then there are no grains. Right? So, this is very important, and this is what is confusing to beginner photographers, understanding the science behind it. Okay, so, now if you get a grip over this, every time you click a picture, you know what you are supposed to do to get a proper light and to get the proper impact in the picture or effect in the picture, right? And before I close this topic, the missing link, okay, which is called the light meter. You would have seen this light meter whenever you are in manual mode, right? And it is there for a purpose, right? For whatever shutter, aperture, ISO readings that you put in your camera, depending on your understanding now. If your light meter shows positive, okay, it has a positive and a negative side. If the light meter is indicating positive, be rest assured that your picture is going to be overexposed. So, what do? Increase the shutter speed, decrease the ISO, decrease the aperture diameter. That will bring down the light and bring it to 0. When you see it at 0, just click a picture, you will get a perfectly exposed image. If it is showing negative, it means your camera is getting less light. What do? Decrease the shutter speed, increase the ISO, increase the aperture diameter. That will give more light, and then it will come to 0. You click it. Never ever click a picture when it is showing an offset to 0. You will get either a bright picture, overexposed, or underexposed picture. Right, ladies and gentlemen? So this is the science of setting your camera in manual mode. Exposure triangle is the basis, your stepping stone to photography. How many of you feel more confident to handle your cameras in manual mode? How many of you are raring to go grab your camera and start trying it out after we finish this session? Tell me in the chat box. Are you excited? Are you excited? Right. Great. Okay. Chalo. So let's move on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, all you learned photographers to some extent now, to the next topic of the agenda, which is the complete photography mentoring program. Okay. For all those people who have been patiently listening to what I've been teaching over the past 1 hour, who feel that yes, manual mode is important, let me tell you, there are 10 other things which a photographer should know from what we have just learned in the past 1 hour. Can anybody tell me how many settings does a professional photographer like me do in his camera before he clicks a picture? Just give me a number in the chat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just give me a number. Okay, like shutter, aperture and ISO, it will be 3. So just give me a number. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the maximum number I see is 6. Let me tell you, it is not less than 14 to 15 different settings. Okay, let me just off the hat read it out for you. Shutter, aperture, ISO, white balance, exposure compensation, metering mode, spot metering, center weighted, matrix metering, focus mode, focus area mode, AFC, AFA, AFS, histogram. How many did I count? 15? Which came to my mind, top of the mind. There are many more, but then at least 15 different settings. Okay. So if you want to learn more than just the manual mode, the different settings of your camera in a structured way, then this is the program for you. Okay. So what is this program? It's a 1-month program divided into 4 weeks, starting from 25th of March till 25th of April. So the timings are going to be 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. because, as I said, many of you would be working, students, housewives. So after completing their daily chores, daily duties, you can spend some time for yourself learning the art and science of photography by joining in this complete photography mentoring program. Okay, I am not going to take more than 15 minutes to explain to you what is there in store. As I mentioned, it's a complete mentoring program divided into 4 weeks. Okay. Each week would be a different thing that you would be doing. First week is going to be live online sessions with yours truly, Amol Patil, over the Zoom call. Okay. So we will be meeting here on the Zoom call The links will be shared with you from 9 to 10:30 p.m. and I will be teaching you different aspects of photography with Natalia as our model and with live demonstrations and shoots, leaving nothing to imagination. Okay. First week is going to be 7 to 8 sessions are going to be me doing most of the talking. Okay, but unlike in this webinar where you are not allowed to speak or ask questions in between, even though we will be having a Q&A after this module. But there, since there will be less students, only the serious people would be joining those courses. I would be putting on your mics and your videos on so that you can interact directly with me. Ask me questions as we progress. Fine. Then week 2, 3 and 4 is going to be putting to test what you have learned during the first week. It's going to be dedicated for photography assignments. So again, here I will be demonstrating to you what the assignment is, how it is to be done. Everything will be shown to you live. You have to go out with your cameras and just execute it. Okay, go out or indoors, even at your homes, if possible, you can do that. Right. So the assignment could be any topic which I feel, depending on the core competency of the group or the interest levels of the group. It could be panning technique in photography, light trails in photography, HDR photography, depth of field in photography, whatever, pet photography, children photography, anything I can give it to you. Right, but then you have to complete and share the pictures for my honest review. Okay, it's not only about clicking pictures but getting my feedback as well. Okay. So week 2, 3 and 4 we'll be meeting twice a week. First time we meet, I'll be explaining to you the assignment, and the second time you will be sharing the pictures and I will be reviewing your pictures in front of you. What's good, bad and ugly about that picture. So only those people who are ready to listen to my honest feedback, nothing will be sugar coated. Okay, since you have paid money and joining this program, it's not that I will be talking all good about your pictures. I will be being very honest, very brutal, and tell you what will help you improve. Okay, great. So what are the topics that are going to be covered in this particular mentoring program, which you will be aware about? It will be absolutely A to Z of ambient light photography. Everything will be taught here. A to Z of ambient light photography. So introduction, it would be starting from scratch. Rank beginners who don't know how to put on a camera, they can attend and benefit from it, because we'll be starting right from the basics. I mean, what are the different parts of your camera, how to put on your camera, how your camera works, the 4-step process, what are the different sizes of the sensor, what is the FX, what is DX, what are the different lenses, right? Everything will be covered so that the foundation is laid. We will be covering the exposure triangle in more details. Okay, here I was just giving you an idea, but then here it will be covered in great details, explaining to you how the exposure triangle works with more examples. Right? As I mentioned, minimum 14 different settings you have to do. So all those different settings I will be telling you, or teaching you rather, and of course with Natalia as our model and with live demonstrations and shoots. Focal length, depth of field, exposure compensation, white balance, shutter, flannel and Dimka, everything will be taught. Fine. Photography is not only science but also an art. I will be teaching you the different artistic aspect of composing your pictures. What are the rule of third? What is leading lines? What is frame in a frame? What is point of interest? Right? what is symmetry, what is patterns, how you should include it in your pictures and make it compelling. Everything I will be teaching you. See how balanced it is. Technical aspects of your camera, art of photography. Adjust this, mix this together, science and art, you become a good photographer. Right? Shooting modes. What are shooting modes? So now today I gave you an idea how to operate your camera in manual mode. I will also be teaching you how to operate your camera in semi-auto modes. What are the advantages? Okay, aperture priority, shutter priority, program modes. Okay, everything I will be teaching you. Excited? You will be specializing into bird photography and landscape photography because this program is genre agnostic. Okay, what do you mean by genre agnostic? I am teaching you photography. I am not teaching you wedding photography. I am not teaching you sports photography. Once you learn photography, once you understand the basics, the science behind it, you should be able to do justice to your genre of your liking. Okay, right? But then I will be specially guiding you on bird photography and landscape photography. Okay, and of course for all those people who are interested in earning money, I will be telling you different avenues to earn money from photography, how to make money with photography. Fine, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the complete photography mentoring program is. Okay, and mind you, ladies and gentlemen, the best part about this mentoring program is it's going to be a live program. No recorded sessions. It's not a recorded video program that you are registering for. What is the percentage? Okay, what is the disadvantage of a recorded program? I know you all know it. Your laptop, your computers are full of paid programs you have downloaded and they are still lying there as a dump. You are not bothered to go back to it. I'm sure. How many, what is the completion rate of recorded programs? Less than 5%. Only 3 to 4 people of the 100 people who registered for a recorded program actually completed. Right? What is the completion rate of my program which is live? Every day 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. you take some time out and complete the program. Okay, 7 days you need to attend it in the first week and twice in the next 3 days. And of course you have to go out and click pictures. All those things are additional, but then yes, more than 90% of my students complete the program because it is to the point, stipulated, with dates and times for logging in. Okay, no excuses. Right? I mean, for people who have excuses, yes, we have made some provision. The recorded session will be provided to you for 30 days so that you can watch and log in the next day in live session so that you don't miss out. Okay. Otherwise, what is the point of registering for a live program and just availing the recorded session? That is just for people who miss it or for people who want to revise it later on. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the complete photography mentoring program. Are you ready to join your hands with me and learn photography from yours truly, Amol Patil? Because if you are interested, let me tell you how you can go about it. Okay? The cost of joining this program is 25,000 rupees. Fine? But if you join today, okay, rather 25,000 rupees. Okay. But then if you join today, along with the complete photography mentoring program, you will be getting amazing bonuses. I would like you to pay attention to what all bonuses you are getting, what value it adds to your photography learning, and then take a educated decision. If you register today, when I share you the link, you will be getting the ultimate photography spoon feed bundle. What is this? Okay, it is a collection of cheat sheets, which of course everybody towards the end would be getting. In addition to that, okay, it is a audio book and a video book. Okay, so 50 videos covering 50 different topics of photography will be shared to you in the form of the ultimate photography spoon feed bundle with a lifetime access. Yes, you heard it right. All those videos, all those sessions that you attended are part of this ultimate photography spoon feed bundle and more. Okay, so what's more, you will be entitled for bonus number 2 worth another 10,000 rupees, which would cover flash photography and lighting technique. You can learn advanced photography techniques like external flash, TTL, manual, OFC, OCFs, okay, front curtain sync, rear curtain sync, and studio lighting techniques by following the videos which are part of the flash photography and lighting technique, which you get as bonus number 2. Okay. What is split lighting, what is broad lighting, what is remnant lighting? Fine. So this is the things which professionals want to study, want to master. I am offering it to you as a bonus worth rupees 10,000 rupees. Right. So what I said, in the live sessions, you learn what? Ambient light photography. When you have natural light, sunlight, or lights are bright enough without any need for flash or external lighting. That is what we are going to learn. We are going to make your foundation strong and then offer you this as a bonus for your self-learning. No photographer's workflow is complete without editing. So in the live session itself, I will be teaching you Lightroom module, which is a gold standard for any photographer when it comes to editing. All photographers across the world use Lightroom for editing, and I am going to teach you Lightroom hands-on with its latest AI capabilities. Okay, regenerative fills, regenerative removals and stuff like that. Very powerful, right? And you will see it for yourself. It's a certificate course. On successfully completing the course, what do you mean by successfully completing the course? Attending all the live sessions, completing all the 3 photo assignments and submitting the assignments, you will be eligible for a certificate of completion, right? Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to be part of the complete photography mentoring program with your studio Amol Patil, with all the advantages of a live session with high chances, high probability of completion rates, and then all the amazing bonuses, including lifelong access to the videos which are covered during the live sessions and more, like lighting techniques and Lightroom and stuff like that. Okay. The total package of this program, including the 25,000 rupee worth mentoring program, is 50,000, as you can see on your screens. Okay, because apart from the 25,000 program, mentoring program, you would be given the ultimate photography spoon feed bundle, which is a 10,000 worth audio and video course. You will be getting flash photography and lighting technique, which is a 10,000 rupee pre-recorded video program, video course, and you will be getting a Lightroom session with me, which is a 5,000 rupee course in itself. But still there is but. Okay, you have been very dedicated, you have attended the entire program for the last more than 1 hour or so. So I will sweeten the deal for you. Okay, for all those people who are interested in joining the program today itself, when I share you the link, this 50,000 worth program will be offered to you not at 50,000, not even at 25,000. Dil tham ke baithiye, ladies and gentlemen, because the price which I am going to offer to you will blow your mind. The entire program is being offered to you at just 4,999 only. You heard it right, 50,000 worth consolidated program, including your complete photography mentoring, which is a live program, ultimate photography spoon feed bundle, Lightroom module, and your advanced course on photography, everything at 4,999. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are ready to avail the amazing discount, more than the amazing discount, let me rephrase it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you are really passionate about photography and want to learn the nitty-gritties, the science, the art behind photography in a structured way from yours truly, Amol Patil, the founder of a photography agency, author, educator who has taught more than 10,000 people, right? Then you can go ahead and register for the program. I am sharing the link in the chat box. Copy paste the link in your browser and go ahead and type and register for the program. Only one thing which you have to be aware about, the offer is valid for the next 15 minutes only. Okay, so go ahead, click on the link. It will take you to this page where it will ask you for your name, email and telephone number. Type in your WhatsApp mobile number. It will have the discounted price. Just click on the pay now. It will take you to the next screen, which will ask you the mode of payment, whether you want a credit card, whether you want Google Pay, UPI, net banking, whichever mode is convenient. Go ahead, select the mode and make the payment. On successful payment, you will get this page which says payment successful with a download button. What is this download button for? The moment you click the download button, you will have access to the ultimate photography spoon feed bundle, which is the pre-recorded videos before even we start the live sessions. Okay, so for all those serious students in here, you can start going through the videos, start learning photography on your own, be primed enough so that when you actually join the live sessions, you are there with more questions, and that is going to benefit you the most. I would appreciate you asking you more questions when I start teaching you the nitty-gritties of it, and that will happen if you follow this. Okay, and as I said, it's a lifelong access. You can keep it handy whenever you want it. If you miss out, don't worry, you will get an automated mail with a download link again. you can download it and start going ahead. Right? So please go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, because this offer is valid for the next 15 minutes, 50,000 worth program at just 4,999, and it starts on 26 Feb 24 at 9 p.m. sharp. Right? Mind you, it is a live program, not a recorded one. So only if you can make it to the live program, I would suggest you enroll for this program at a 90% discount. It's called the Ultimate Photography Spoon Feed Bundle. Okay, before I open the Q&A session for all your queries on the program or on the topic that we have covered, let me share with you the link for the Ultimate Photography Guide. Okay, the collection of cheat sheets. Okay, for people who have been waiting only for that, right? I'm sharing the link in the chat. Please go ahead and download it. For all those people who are not only here for the free stuff and the goodies and who want to take it forward, the link is still live and active. Please go ahead and register. Okay, I'm opening the Q&A session. I'm opening your audios and videos. Please ask your questions about the mentoring program or the topics that we have covered as part of the manual mode. Right? Please go ahead, give it to me, all the questions, and I will be happy to answer you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I think you had a very fruitful time. And for all those people who already registered, congratulations, and see you at the live program. Till then, happy clicking.